All right, here is a review. This is the homework of reviewing trigonometry. Let's do it together. So give each trig ratio. Now I notice here I'm missing a side here. So step number one is to use the Pythagorean theorem to find that missing side. So I'm going to use my calculator. 20 times 20 I know. 29 times 29 I'm not as sure. That is 841. And then they're on opposite sides, so I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to go 841, subtract 400, and get 441. And we know the last thing to do is square root that. So square root 441, and you get 21. So that's the missing side that we have there, 21. And now, from angle D, we circle it. And again, we write down so, ka, toa for our ratios. And now from D, we're going to start. So it's opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse. That's the longest side. Then cosine is adjacent. So adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's 21 over 29. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent. So it's 20 over 21 from that angle. Then we do the same work from E. So now we don't look at D. Now we look at E and go through the same definitions. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So that's opposite over hypotenuse. From E, adjacent over hypotenuse. And then finally tangent, opposite over adjacent. And those are the ratios. Look at number 2. I want to solve for a missing side. So I'm going to circle the angle. That's opposite and that's adjacent. So we write down SOHCAHTOA. Which one uses opposite and adjacent? And then we write down tangent of 62. And then we write down x over 25. And then it goes. Since x is in the numerator, we're going to multiply. So we're going to multiply by 25 and get our answer. So we're going to go 25 tangent 62 and get 47. Again, I'm going to circle the angle. This is opposite and this is hypotenuse. So it's right here, opposite and hypotenuse. It's sine. So sine 26 is equal to 11 over x. Because x is in the denominator, we're going to divide. So it's 11 divided by sine 26, and then use your calculator. And you get 25. Number 4, circle the angle, opposite and hypotenuse. That's sine. And then the fraction. So that's x over 32. X is on top, so you multiply. And then it's done. And that's 23.8. You need to press pause and try it first. You should. So this is adjacent and hypotenuse. That's cosine. And then adjacent over hypotenuse. It's on the bottom, the x. So you're dividing. So 29 divided by cosine 12. And you get 29.6. Circle the angle. Now, when you find a missing angle, so first of all, it's still going to be adjacent and hypotenuse. But a missing angle, we use the little -1. So inside will be the ratio, 14 over 15. So we're going to go find cosine with a little -1, inverse cosine, and then go 14 divided by 15. And you get the angle 21 degrees. Again, circle the angle, opposite and adjacent. So it's going to be inverse tangent for that angle. That's 19 over 23. So we go inverse tangent, 19 over 23. That angle is 39.6. Circle the missing angle. Adjacent. Hypotenuse. which trig ratio is that with a little -1, and then the ratio goes inside, 9 over 17. So inverse cosine 9 over 17. Oh, try it again. Inverse cosine 9 over 17, and it's 58. One more like this. Circle the angle. This is opposite, and this is hypotenuse. So that's sine that's going to find it. And then inside the parentheses is 43 over 45. So inverse sine 43 over 45. And you get 72.9 if you round it properly. All right, next page has the stories. So Jada is standing 10 feet from the base of a tree. And spots a nest from the ground where she's standing, and the angle to the nest, there's my right triangle, that angle of elevation is 55. And the question is, find the height of the nest up there in the tree. So we circle the angle. This is opposite and adjacent. That's tangent. So we write down tangent 55 and the ratio on the other side. Opposite over adjacent. Now we're going to multiply to get our answer, and then we'll write a sentence. So 10 tangent 55, we multiply and get about 14. So then we write a sentence. The height of the nest is, and it's 14 feet. All right, number 11. The angle of elevation from the top of a 95-foot building to a hot air balloon in the sky is 76 degrees. So we have a building. This building is 96 feet. And then the angle of elevation up to a hot air balloon. And there's my right triangle. The angle up to it is 76 degrees. And the hot air balloon is 300, and the horizontal distance to the hot air balloon is, so this is horizontal down here, is 354 feet. And then find the height of the hot air balloon. So we're going to circle the angle. This is opposite and adjacent. That's tangent. So we're going to write down tangent 76 is equal to opposite over adjacent. We're going to multiply and use our calculator. So that's 354, and then tangent 76, that's 1,420 if I round. But the whole height, the next number, I still have to add 95 feet to it. So all the way to the ground. So x plus that. So I got to add 95 to it. And I get 1,515. So the height of the balloon is 1,515 feet. All right, a fire hydrant sits 72 feet from the base of a 125-foot building. So here we have a fire hydrant. I don't want to draw a fire. There's my fire hydrant. There's my building, and it's 72 feet in front. And the building is 125 feet tall. Find the angle of elevation from the fire hydrant to the top of the building. So find that angle. So circle the angle. Opposite, adjacent, that's tangent. And it's going to be inverse when we find a missing angle. And it's opposite over adjacent. And now use your calculator. So again, inverse tangent, opposite over adjacent, and you get about 60. As the angle of elevation. A surfer is riding a 7-foot wave. The angle of depression from the surfer to the shoreline is, how am I going to do this? Here's my surfer to the shoreline is 7 degrees. Now, angle of depression means we're going to subtract 90. So the angle I'm actually going to put in the triangle is actually 83 up there. And the wave is 7 feet tall. And the question is, what is the distance from the surfer to the shoreline? So that's this distance. So circle the angle. That's adjacent over hypotenuse. So which one uses adjacent and hypotenuse? So we're going to write down cosine of 83 and then the ratio. That's adjacent over hypotenuse, and then divide to find it. So 7 divided by cosine 83, and you get 57.4 in terms of how far he is from the shoreline. All right, last one, number 14. A cell phone tower is anchored by 2 cables. So here's, I don't know how to do that. There's a cell phone tower. Is anchored by 2 cables. From the top of the tower to the ground by each side. The cables stretch from the top to the ground, with each being the same distance from the base. The angle of depression from the top of the tower to the point at which the cables reach is 23. So I'm going to go 90 subtract 23, and that's the angle inside for both sides. If the tower is 140 feet tall, so this middle part is 140 feet, find the ground distance between the 2 cables. So all I have to find is one of them, and then I can double the answer. So look at one of the triangles here, circle the angle. This is opposite and adjacent. So opposite and adjacent, that's tangent. So we're going to write down tangent of 67 equals opposite, which is x, over adjacent, which is 140. I'm going to multiply to figure out that number. So 140 times tangent 67. That's 330 if you round. And I want to know the distance between the 2 cables. They're equal distance, so I just double that answer. That will tell me the distance between them. And then we write it down. The distance between the cables is 660 feet. So we found one side, we double it for the other side, so all together the distance is 660. All right, Mr. G Math over and out. Great job doing your homework.